Hello and welcome to The Atheist Experience. I'm your host, Russell Glasser, and with me is the mighty Jen Peeples.
Oh, I'm mighty now. Awesome.
Yes. Today is Sunday, November 18th, 2012. We are a live call-in public access atheist television show based in Austin, Texas, dedicated to promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We are also available live through live streaming video at ustream.tv. The official Atheist Experience website is www.atheist-experience.com. You can provide feedback by commenting on the official show blog, freethoughtblogs.com/AXP, or you can email tv@atheist-community.org. If you enjoyed this show, please check out our other podcast, Godless Bitches. And you can find links at the Atheist Experience website. And of course, if you are local to Austin, Texas, and you enjoy this show, you are always welcome to come to dinner afterwards, 6 p.m. at El Arroyo on 1624 West 5th Street in Austin. Oh, shoot.
Not
I can't believe I still have that there. I'm going to... Threadgills. Thank you very much.
Yes.
What the heck?
If you go to El Arroyo, we won't be there.
Right.
We'll be at Threadgills.
Yeah, we'll be at Threadgills.
Yeah.
6 o'clock. Riverside. Okay. And we're off to a roaring start. I think I was on last week, but Matt called it the last minute. He's having a bit of a crisis, which he couldn't be here today. He should be on next week. Wait. That's after Thanksgiving? That should be fine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's, we're still to go for next week, I think.
All right. What's up with you?
Oh, not too much. I was just going to bring up the recent situation in Ireland where a woman was denied an abortion and subsequently died as a result. And I know several of us have talked about it on our Facebook pages already, and I'm sure they talked about it this past week on the Godless Bitches. I wasn't on because of technical issues, but I know if we don't bring it up, people will ask us why not. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. So,
and when she died, I mean, they didn't. It's not like they saved the child by denying her the abortion.
No, she was 17 weeks pregnant. She came in. She had basically an impending miscarriage anyway, and rather than go ahead and terminate the pregnancy as they should have done, they decided that they would wait because they said that the fetus had a heartbeat. As long as the fetus had a heartbeat, they weren't going to do anything. And so I think it took about 2.5 days. She finally did have the miscarriage, or the fetus died or something in utero. The fetus was doomed anyway because by then she had a high fever and she had septicemia. So she actually had a really severe infection. And so they eventually did a D&C, started her on antibiotics, but it was too late and she died. And it wasn't necessary.
Now, this happened in Ireland. What's the general legal status of abortion there?
Well, she, as I understand it, it is actually permitted in cases where the mother's life is threatened. And in this case it was, but when she asked for an abortion, and bear in mind, she wanted this child, okay? So it wasn't like she came in seeking an abortion. She actually wanted to have a child, but at some point she, became resigned to the fact that she was going to lose the pregnancy. And at that point she said, hey, I'm in pain, clearly something's wrong here, I want an abortion. And they said, well, we can't do that because, this is Ireland and this is a Catholic country. And she said, I'm neither Irish nor Catholic. So, it's a case of a country that is basing its laws on somebody's religious beliefs, and they are denying, medical treatment to someone on the basis of that.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's another example of why religion is a terrible basis for public policy.
Right. I find kind of a weird philosophical issue in a way about people who have a reason to abort their kids even though they're ultimately planning to have children, because generally people have a certain number of children that they're planning to have.
Right.
And so when somebody aborts their, winds up having to abort the fetus, that means that they're probably going to have another child. Like, let's say they were going to have 2 kids. They're going to try to have a second kid that they wouldn't have tried for if they had had the first one.
Yeah.
So really, if we're talking about people's potential lives,
yeah.
You know, you're swapping one with another. I mean, it only gets to be a messy issue for people because they believe that there's this magical soul thing that happens, even though this fetus doesn't have like consciousness yet. Yeah. And to me, consciousness is the defining factor.
Yeah, and actually, we see a lot of this argument with all these people saying, "Oh, there's this many millions of children missing from the world because of abortion." And in reality,
boo-hoo, we got 7 billion of them.
Yeah, well, and I think it's I forget I'll have to look up the reference. I think it's Guttmacher Institute or something like that. They've done some research on this, and in fact, that's not true. Just what you were saying, that if a woman opts to have an abortion because she is single or she feels like she can't care for a child or whatever. Right. That doesn't change the number of children she has eventually. So if you go back and ask women, after they've had an abortion, how many children do you plan to have? And then you come back later on and you ask them, how many did you have? The numbers match. So having the abortion doesn't change the number of children.
Even more than that, I mean, I can envision a scenario where somebody winds up having a child as a teenager because they can't. The abortion is not available to them,
right?
And it turns out to be such a drain on their resources. They can't wind up getting an education and such that they might actually wind up having to have fewer kids than they would have otherwise.
Yeah, I can.
So I mean, potential life is a dumb argument.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. All right, so that's basically what I wanted to bring up. It's just, another example of religion being a poor basis for public policy.
Okay.
All right. To the phone line.
Charles in Oak Harbor, Ohio. Are you there?
Hey, how you doing, Russell?
Hi, how are you?
Doing pretty good. I called your show before. I believe Matt and Tracy was on.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember. But anyway, I just wanted to call and give my thoughts on evolution and how they try to prove the existence of God using the Bible and science.
Okay. Now you know ahead of time that we don't believe anything in the Bible is particularly reliable. So if you prove something using the Bible, that might be convincing to you and your fellow Christians, but it won't mean a thing to us, right? You know that.
Oh, okay. Do you believe in science?
Yes.
Now, what are the things in the Bible match with science?
Really?
I'd be interested in that argument.
Like what?
Well, how about let's start with Genesis.
Okay. So do you think that plants existed before the sun did?
Do I believe that plants existed before the sun did?
Yeah, because that's the order of creation in Genesis.
No, I would assume so. Well, why wouldn't I?
Well, because then you're totally not agreeing with what science says.
Well, now we're having an opposition because you're going with evolution. I'm going with creation.
Right,
No.
You're going against science, basically.
No,
You're going against the prevailing
no,
scientific understanding of where plants came from.
You're assuming that evolution is science.
And it is.
Yeah.
Okay, how is evolution testable?
You can't have it both ways. Either you're going to say that you're going to use science to support your position, in which case you need to accept what the prevailing scientific theory is, or you can say science is totally wrong.
Now, did you say what you just said?
Yeah?
Theory.
Do you know what the word theory means?
Yeah, it's a supposition, an idea.
No, it's not.
Intended to explain something.
It's
not a supposition.
Do you know what a theory is in science?
By theory, it is a supposition.
No, that's not what it means in science. In science...
What does a theory mean in science? I don't know how you can change
No, nobody's changing it. You don't have an understanding of what this means. And that's part of why you're having a problem here.
A
theory in science is a model. It's a model of how things work. of how a specific thing works. Okay? It's not a supposition or an educated guess or anything like that. It's a model that explains all the facts and is contradicted by none of them.
Right. Do me a favor. Are you near a computer?
No, sir.
Okay, let me just pick up the Wikipedia page on scientific theory. Not that Wikipedia is the ultimate authority, but it tends to be pretty good on the basics of science stuff. It says right now, a scientific theory is a well-substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world based on a body of facts that has been repeatedly confirmed through observation and experiment. So when I say theory, that's what I mean.
Can you give me any example of evolution? Just give me an example of it.
Yeah. Fruit flies.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain the process?
Fruit flies have been demonstrated under laboratory conditions to split into two separate species. So that there are now two sets of fruit flies that can't interbreed with each other anymore. That's what evolution does. Over time, under selection pressure, you get branching different species, which eventually diverge farther and farther, so that you get, what is initially common ancestors of mammals, and then they split up into like carnivores and primates and stuff.
So a change in species.
Yeah, speciation. Been demonstrated all over the place.
Do you follow Charles Darwin's teachings, or do you discredit them?
What?
Do you follow the teachings of? Have you ever read The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin?
Of course.
I have actually, yeah.
Do you follow his teachings, or
I don't know what you mean.
them?
I don't know what you mean by follow, because generally a scientific body of work has to be confirmed by a bunch of different people. It's not based on somebody handing down tablets.
Well, and you do know that since Charles Darwin wrote The Origin of Species, we've had a lot more information come to light, in particular genetics. You realize that, right?
Right.
I wasn't aware of that. Oh.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that Darwin thought in The Origin of Species, like he did
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
We're echoing? Wait, is that better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff that Darwin thought about how evolution might work that turned out to be incorrect, and so science has actually moved on from the basics that were outlined in Origin of the Species. But the main point that all of life comes from a common ancestor and that it happens through natural processes is still the prevailing theory.
So you're saying we evolved over billions of years?
Yep.
Okay. There's a little problem with that.
Okay.
There's no proof of that. There is absolutely no, and I mean no, recorded history.
Fruit flies.
Yeah, genetics.
No, I said people. I didn't say
Yes,
animals. I said
genetics.
people.
So wait, you agree that speciation happens? We're past that point, right?
In terms of what?
In terms of one
Do you mean
species.
changing into a more different form of the same species, or are you talking about just a different species altogether?
It's actually
Do you know-
a different species by the definition. Go on.
Then
Yeah.
no,
Do you
I
know
do
what
not believe that.
do you know what a species is? Do you know what that means?
Yes, I'm very aware of what a species.
Okay. Just checking.
Okay.
But again, there's no history of it. Where's the
Yes,
where's
there
the
is.
document?
Yes,
Where's
there
the
is.
recorded history of it?
Are you familiar with the genetic research that's been done on human chromosome 2?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you might want to read up on that, because what human chromosome 2 demonstrates is that we actually did share a common ancestor with chimpanzees and bonobos.
What is that related to?
It's related to the fact that they have 24 pairs of chromosomes, we have 23, and the reason we have one less chromosome pair is because there were two chromosomes in the ancestor that fused, and that fusion occurred in human chromosome number 2. If you look that up, you will find that's true.
When was that experiment done?
Well, it wasn't an experiment. It was actually some genetic work, and it was published probably in the last, 5 years or so?
I don't know.
I think it's been published in the last 5 years.
Let me take this from a different angle, though. You believe in Noah's Ark, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you know that there are like millions of species of cockroaches, for example. Do you think that there were 2 of each kind of cockroach on the Ark, or do you think that that those split up? Or that there were like just a couple of cockroaches, and then they diverged into all the other forms of cockroaches that we have now?
I believe there was 2 of each, yes.
Okay, so there were millions and millions of different cockroaches on the Ark.
Well, okay, I think you're rephrasing that a little bit wrong. I don't really know what it is here. Can you be more specific?
Do you understand that there are different species of cockroach?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think there were 2 cockroaches on the Ark, or do you think there were 2 of every cockroach species?
I believe there was 2 of every cockroach.
Can you be more specific? Do you think there were 2 cockroaches total, or millions?
If you look in the book of Genesis,
Yeah.
there were the Lord gives the dimensions for the ark. They're 300 cubits long, 50
Right.
cubits wide,
Yeah.
Right.
and 30 cubits high.
Right. So how many cockroaches? Do you think that dogs and wolves are the same species?
No, sir.
So do you think that every breed of dog is one species? Like, do you think there were 2 Chihuahuas and 2 Great Danes on the Ark, or do you think there were just a couple of dogs?
Well, I see the whole phrasing about. I don't understand what you're
I'm
trying
asking
to
you
ask.
this stuff because you're saying you don't even believe that speciation is possible, which is a weird position to take because even a lot of young Earth creationists agree that in order for the Ark to make sense logistically, there must have been like a greatly reduced number of animals on the Ark, which then very rapidly split up into a bunch of different species after they got off. Do you think they're wrong?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are against Ken Ham and Kent Hovind and guys like that.
No. Ken Homer's a fascinating creation teacher.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure you're at odds with him. And so when you say that speciation is impossible, I think you better look up what he says about it.
I'm familiar with Kent Hovind's teachings.
Okay. I'm just
I'm
saying. So you think there were 2 of every breed of dog, there were 2 of all the millions of kinds of cockroaches. There were
even if we presume that kind is synonyms with species, there are not even very many species of mammals, birds, amphibians, reptiles, whatever.
There are not very many species of mammals, reptiles, and birds?
No.
You're really wrong. And if you think that you
Do you
are...
know who Ernest Marr is?
What?
Ernest Marr. He's one of the leading systematic biologists.
Yeah, I think you're pronouncing it wrong, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he even gives the number of 17,000 allowing for 2 of these species on the Ark.
What?
He even gives the number of at least 17,000 allowing for 2 of these species on the Ark.
What is Ernst Mayr? I can't remember.
He's a Harvard biologist.
He's a systematic biologist.
And he
Sociobiologist.
outlines how the Ark
At
works.
least 17,000 allowing for 2 of these species on the Ark.
So you think...
Plus 7 of the what you guys like to call clean kinds of animals, plus the excrement.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, there are scientists that, do lead towards creation. So when you're getting the leading scientific investigation of evolution, there's actually very good scientists that discredit that whole theory.
No, he
Wrong.
doesn't discredit evolutionary theory at all.
Look,
Evolution
there
doesn't work
are
in all
way
time.
more than 17,000 species of mammals and birds.
But assuming
alive now.
that's correct,
Okay,
just for the
Yes.
sake of argument,
not,
assuming that there were only 17,000
right.
pairs or
I'm not
whatever.
saying he's right.
But
What I'm saying- well,
no,
I'm
no,
just
but
using him
let's
as a
but let's entertain that for just a second. As a conservative number, let's say he's right. Do you think
Okay.
17,000 animals could have fit on the ark?
Why couldn't it?
Because there's not enough room.
Well, they were on there for a year, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there were just 8 people shoveling their poop overboard.
Yeah.
So,
This ark could have been over 550 feet long, and you're telling me
for
yeah.
17,000 species.
Yeah.
I mean, 550 feet long is not that big.
but you got to look at the time it was in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, which is all the more reason to think they didn't have better poop shoveling technology than they've got now
Yeah.
for 8 people to
Well,
man.
not only that, but you know that a wooden ship of 500 and something feet in length would not have been seaworthy. You know
Why
that,
wouldn't it?
right? Because the longest wooden ship in history was a little short of that. I'll have to look it up, but I think it was somewhere around 490 feet long, and it had iron braces.
But I mean, getting back to the original thing you were saying, I mean, you're saying that you were supported by science, and the only way that you can say this is to like throw out most of what science actually thinks. And I mean, I can play that game too. I can say that atheism is supported by the Bible, as long as I'm allowed to pick the verses that are part of the Bible and which part I don't care about.
The only problem, okay, I think I need to rephrase everything that I
All
just said. There is no history prior to 4000 BC. And
There's no written history prior to 4000
exactly,
BC.
that's what I'm saying.
Because people didn't write. So according to your idea,
So wait. You're telling me that all of a sudden, over billions and billions and billions of years, people just figure out how to write at this specific time. And we've evolved ever since then. That's what you're telling me.
no, writing was a technological advance that got spread out gradually. I mean, there are branches of science called anthropology where you can figure out stuff that's not written down. I mean, you go back through hieroglyphics and the Rosetta Stone, like God didn't hand down English all at once or something like that. Of course, you probably believe in the Tower of Babel, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And history is kind of proven you wrong, right? I don't
No.
know where you studied your history, but the history I've studied.
The history
shows that
you've
we're
studied
defined
from
by
Kent
the
Hovind.
6 world powers. Are you familiar with those?
What?
Are you familiar with the 6 world powers that define our history?
Name them.
Yeah.
Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, Rome.
Okay, what about it?
That's our history.
All right.
That is
Yes,
what the world's
those places
history is
exist.
clearly defined by.
Okay.
So where you're getting we evolved over billions and billions of years, it's not that there's no proof of it.
Humans haven't
We have
existed
proof
for
of this.
no. Humans haven't existed
Yeah.
for billions of years. They've existed for a couple million.
Yeah.
So now it's a couple million. No, no one's changed it.
What?
And now it's a couple million. It always seems to change.
What? No, nothing's
Nobody
changed.
ever said that humans existed at the Big Bang. Where do you think they'd live?
Well, how long have okay, according to you, how long have human beings been on this planet?
Things that were identifiable as humans may have been around as about
How long
2
have human
million,
beings been on
2
this planet?
million years ago, approximately.
And where's your proof of it? That's what this all boils down to. I'm saying, where's the proof of this? It's easy to believe it was
You
over
need to
billions
look
of
up the
years.
science, dude, because anthropologists have dug up stuff that's like that old, according to dating.
It doesn't, okay. How come there's no writings? No
Because
writings.
they couldn't
No
write
bills,
yet.
No words, no country,
Yeah,
nothing.
how come there
4,000
weren't
BC.
any iPhones 3,000 years ago? Is this the kind of line of reasoning that you're going to go after?
No, I'm asking a simple question. I'm asking where's the proof?
Where's the proof? It's in
I
anthropology. It's in geology.
That is a fact. That's
Look,
irrefutable fact.
if you're not going to read the science, then I'm not going to give you a full remedial science class about how people figure stuff out right now.
I'm not understanding your position here. You're saying we've been here all these years, and I'm asking you to show me the proof.
Show it to you like, have it in my hands right now?
No, where's your information? What can you cite to prove this? Without using some kind of item. Where's the recorded history of this?
There weren't recordings invented, dude.
Well, I mean, we've actually got
So
cave paintings.
Why is it more believable for that and not God? Why is it hard to believe that we were created at that time by God rather than we
Because there's
years?
no evidence to support that, and there is evidence to support the evolution of humans. No, there isn't.
Really? Where are the recordings of Adam and Eve?
Yeah, where's the evidence of that?
In the Bible?
That was not written by Adam and Eve. They couldn't write yet.
Yeah.
No, the Bible was written by 40 different men.
Yeah, were any of them circa 6,000 years ago?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I mean, you're saying that nothing is reliable unless you've got a recording of it. So
that kind of helps. That's kind of what we distinguish truth from lying.
So by this argument, there was no Adam and Eve.
Yes, okay. If you want to, okay, so you're using the whole, just because the Bible says so, it's not true.
No, I'm using your argument. You're saying that there's no such thing as valid history unless there's a recording of it.
And we have recordings of things from Scripture.
And we have fossils.
We have guys a couple thousand years later writing down myths that they told each other. That's not evidence.
Are you using that as a reference towards the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay, you realize the Bible was written over a 1,500 time span.
Yeah, was any of it written by Adam and Eve?
Because they weren't sitting around each other. These men never even met each other.
Right. Was any of it written by Adam and Eve?
No.
Then they didn't exist, according to your argument. We're going to have to wrap this up
just
soon.
Because the Bible says it's not true. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
So what are you saying?
We're saying that you have not demonstrated that your claim is true, and your method of reasoning here is a little absurd, because by your own argument, I can refute your claim that Adam and Eve existed.
Right. We're going to have to move on to other callers. You've already gotten like half the show. But, I mean, is there any last thing you want to say?
Yes, actually there is.
Okay.
You say that Adam and Eve didn't exist because there's no recorded history of it.
That was your argument.
I'm saying that that's how you're choosing to view history.
But I just gave you what our history is defined by.
Well, the Bible isn't it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling. Feel free to call again. It was fun.
Yeah.
Is it Stotch in Goldsboro, Pennsylvania?
Stotch.
Oh, I think that's what I said.
Yeah.
Hi, I watched this show a couple times.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to call in and talk about something, but it always seems like there's mean guys.
There's always that one guy. Actually, he was fairly nice. Just wrong.
Well, I wanted to say that I have a big interest in like supernatural things, and I go ghost hunting a lot. And
ever catch any? Ever catch any?
Yeah, I did.
All right.
I saw a red apparition once, and it had no arms or legs, and it had a head, but I couldn't see a face.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I can't imagine what else that could have been, but the spirit of a person.
And why would you
sounds like
think
a failure of imagination to me.
Yeah, why would you think that that's the spirit of a person?
Well, because it looked like a person. I mean, it had a head, where a person's head is, arms, and like shoulders.
But you
and
said it didn't have a face, so why would you think it's a person?
Well, except for not having a face or arms or legs. What did
had
it look like?
The outline of a human.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Except without arms and legs.
Yeah.
well, you could cut the arms and legs off a person.
So
right?
it looked like a torso with a round thing on top, but only
Exactly.
an outline. So
Yeah.
the round thing on top didn't have a face. So it was a red blob that looked like
Well,
a
no, not
square
blob.
with
I
a
could
circle
make
on
out
top
the outline of a human being there.
without arms and legs.
Yeah. Well, you could kind of make out that the arms and legs were there, but I couldn't see them.
Okay.
Okay.
And I also I went to Norway, and there was a town called Stavern, and they actually have trolls in that town.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You don't mean internet trolls.
no.
I was going to say, we've had an infestation of those here as well.
Were they the little doll trolls with the long hair,
No,
or were
no,
they
no.
like the giant Harry Potter
He,
trolls?
He didn't look like any kind of person I've ever seen before.
Wait,
Okay.
you met one?
Yeah, I met one.
You shake his hand?
Actually, two. There were two of them, and the one he was just called Troll,
Okay.
and the other he
Stotch,
was called.
Stotch, I think you're screwing with us.
No. Well, let me get to my point. My
Seriously.
point was, there's things in this world that if you look for them, you can find them. And
Okay.
in the few shows I've seen, some of you guys, you don't seem to believe in many things. Like,
True.
We're skeptical of things.
yeah, but do you actually go out and try to find these things? And
Do I
look for them?
go out and look for trolls? No, I don't.
Well, the evidence is there if you look.
Did you get any pictures of these trolls?
Well, they wouldn't let me take pictures
Of
of them.
course
Of
not.
course they wouldn't. Did you try sneaking a recording device near them? Or do they have magic recording device sensors or something?
No, I didn't try to sneak them.
Are they like vampires where if you take a picture, they don't show up?
Well, no, they didn't let me take a picture.
Oh, okay.
The one
Okay.
of them did, but he didn't really look much like a troll.
Oh, okay.
He was a fellow named Satchmo, and he let me take his picture.
Okay.
But, I'm kind of guessing maybe he wasn't a troll because the other guy, he really looked weird. And
Stotch, are you a troll?
me?
Yeah,
No.
just checking.
No, sir.
Okay.
But
You sound a little like one.
I sound like one.
More like the internet kind, but yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. My point was, when you always talk about the non-existence of God because you don't see the proof or the evidence.
Right.
I just want to know, do you guys look for it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, how do you look for it?
I don't know. I got down on my knees several times and said, God, if you're there, tell me about it. Nothing happened. Evangelists always tell me that that's a reliable way to find out God. And
Yeah.
I have to disagree with that, though.
Okay.
Just because
So
you
that's
get
not
on
it.
your knees and say, God, come, and he doesn't come. Well, that would be like if you
I've
got
heard
on
that
your
works.
knees and said, Bigfoot, come through my door. And he doesn't come through your door, and there mustn't be a Bigfoot, right?
Well, look, I considered myself a Christian for many years. And I actually was confirmed in the Episcopal Church. I was an altar girl. I did all the stuff, and I actually believed. Okay? And I went back, at some point, my skepticism was, promoted or sparked, and I started actually looking at the claims that religion makes, in particular Christianity. And what I found is that the claims of Christianity don't withstand much scrutiny. And it was because of that that I rejected my former beliefs. So yes, I actually looked, and actually when someone first challenged my beliefs, what I went looking for was evidence to support my beliefs. I didn't go in there thinking I was going to find evidence that caused me to reject those beliefs. So, I went in with a predisposition to believe that God was real and that what I had been taught my whole life was the truth, and I found otherwise. So this idea that, somehow I did it wrong, well, I reject that.
But and why do you think you're here, though, to begin with?
Why do I think I'm here?
Yeah, what purpose would you serve in existence?
My purpose.
Why would you be here?
My purpose is what I define it to be.
Yeah, but you don't have to be here.
You're right. I'm
here.
here because my parents had sex.
Yeah, but why are
Unprotected
they here?
sex, by the way.
No, but when you look at a scene of the sky or the trees,
Yeah.
right? You have eyes so that you can see that.
Right.
But why do you have eyes? I mean, you don't have to see that.
Because I evolved.
they evolved.
But why?
Yes.
Why? What is the purpose
There
of
was
you
a-
being able to see those things?
Because
you don't
at
have
some
to
point,
see those things.
stop.
Survival.
Yes, it conferred a survival advantage
Well,
on.
why do you need to survive? What is the point of your survival if it just amounts to nothing in the end?
To reproduce.
Why?
Why not?
Yep, that's how it works.
Well, no, not why not. Why was all this constructed?
Why not? It wasn't constructed. That implies intent, and that's your assumption.
Yeah.
No, it's not necessarily content. Things could be constructed by accident.
Okay.
They
All
don't
right.
really need to be planned out.
Okay, you're right. They don't, and
Oh.
generally, our finding is that they aren't.
But what I was saying was, you said your parents had sex and that's why you're here. But, why you don't need to be here. So why would, evolution and everything, why would it work so hard to put you here for no purpose whatsoever?
I wasn't pre-planned in any sense of the word, okay? My existence was not preordained. There was no plan that caused me, an individual, to be here.
Yeah, stuff happens. I mean, why did that big hurricane just happen in the Northeast? Sometimes shit happens.
Yeah, but it didn't just happen. There are reasons why it happened.
Okay.
Many things came together to cause it to happen.
Sure.
Right, but was there a purpose? Are you arguing that somebody decided, hey, it would be really awesome to wipe out this, smash up a bunch of buildings in the Northeast?
Something like a hurricane is just chaotic.
All right. So
you
I
have
mean,
eyes
so you
specifically
accept.
to see.
So you
that you
agree.
can survive.
Sometimes shit just happens.
Right, but your eyes didn't just happen.
Right, they evolved.
There's a purpose for your eyes. There's not a purpose for a hurricane.
They evolved.
Why though?
Why not?
What was the reason?
Have you studied any kind of biology? Do you
Well, why
understand?
would biology and nature and everything be set up like that if there's really no purpose for it?
Who said it was set up?
Well, it has structure to it.
No, actually, to me it looks exactly as it should, if nothing were guiding the process other than natural selection and random mutations. I mean, do you have some evidence that there's something else behind the process?
Of course.
Well, what is that
Okay.
evidence?
Well, like I said before,
Bigfoot did it.
Yeah.
Every part of you is there so that you can survive and thrive throughout the world.
Right,
Why?
that's an observation of evolution. Basically, anything that doesn't have the ability to survive doesn't survive. I mean, it's almost tautological.
Yeah.
Right, but why is there such a thing that exists that has the ability to survive if there's no point?
I don't
for
know.
that
Why
thing
do
to
you think the
survive?
supernatural stuff exists?
Well, because my experience.
Yeah,
I've
but what
seen
do you
things
think is
that-
the
that
purpose?
science has not
Yeah,
explained.
but what do you think the purpose is of that supernatural stuff existing?
For example,
I mean, you think there's a God?
yeah.
So why does God exist?
Why does he exist?
Yeah.
Well, God wasn't created, so he doesn't need a purpose.
Okay, so things don't need a purpose. Things can just exist.
Right, but God.
All right, so you're saying
weird.
God is the thing that just exists. We're saying we don't see any reason to believe in God, and since we know that things can just exist for no reason, might as well be the universe.
Right, but God doesn't have the structure like a human being. He doesn't have reproduction or.
How do you know?
How do you know this?
Eyes, ears.
How do you know
You know,
this?
because God is not a human being.
How do you know?
know
Not
this?
gonna have, because a human being isn't a God.
How do you know this?
How do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm a human being and I'm not a God.
How do you know I'm not?
So, but how do you
How do I
know
know
that?
you're
I
not?
mean, I thought that the Bible says that people are supposed to be created in God's image, right?
Right.
So supposedly God does have a lot of similarities to humans.
Well, no, because that's open to interpretation.
All right, but
That doesn't
regardless,
mean- that
why?
doesn't mean that God looks like us and.
So you think that this God just exists for no reason? There's no purpose for God to exist. There's no point. He just does.
Well, no, there's a purpose.
Well, what
Okay,
is it?
whose purpose is that?
Well, you wouldn't be alive if God didn't exist.
So God exists to create us?
Well, not just to create you, but that's one of the things that He's
Okay,
done.
so whose reason was that to make God to make us?
Well, nobody made God.
Okay. I'm not sure this is going anywhere.
Where are you getting all this information about God? Does God talk to you?
No.
The trolls tell him.
Yes, apparently. So how do you acquire this information
What information?
about
You seem
God's
to know
purpose?
an awful lot about what God thinks.
Well, because He wouldn't have done it if that wasn't His purpose.
So this is all stuff you've made up and decided is true.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Well, yeah.
No, because I've looked at what the Bible said.
Okay.
And,
Ah.
if you believe in a God and He created people,
Well, and we don't.
And we don't. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just where we're at. All right. Thanks for calling.
okay. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Okay.
It was fun talking.
Bye.
Yeah, and just to point out, one of Stotch's arguments there about, humans, everything needs a purpose except for God. That's a logical fallacy called special pleading. Mm-hmm. Once you've set up the rules that everything has to have a purpose, and then you exempt your God from that, that's special pleading. So just want to point that out. We sometimes get that request on email to point out the logical fallacies.
Lewis, or perhaps Louis, in Providence, Rhode Island.
Hello, I have proof and evidence that Matt is a fat bitch.
Yeah.
James in Huntington, West Virginia.
Hi, am I on?
Yes.
You are.
Oh, hi. I'm just calling in because I've watched the show for a while now.
Yeah, there's
I wanted to tell you guys a little bit
Wait.
about
hey, there's
my own
feedback
situation.
on your end. Can you
Help me.
turn your speakers down?
Well, hang on.
Okay.
How's that?
We still got a. No, there's still some
Got
feedback.
some kind of a whistle going on. Is that background noise for you, or?
I'm in a quiet house right now.
Oh, okay.
Can you? Are you near some other audio device that you could move away from?
No.
Huh.
Yeah.
Just sitting here.
Can you just say something real quick that we can respond to off air?
Well, I just wanted to say that I'm a mentally ill person. I'm bipolar, and my whole life I was a theist until a few years ago. I found your old show, and after getting away from theism, I have to say that it's a lot better on me because I don't think there's somebody watching me all the time. And if that's not true, then maybe some of the other paranoid delusions I have aren't true either. And that's really helped me out. And I just want to say thanks.
Oh, okay.
Good, you're welcome. And I hope you're getting good treatment for that.
I'm doing my best.
Okay.
But I'll get off here so you don't have to hear the squeal anymore. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Ken in Junction City, Kansas.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine.
Good.
How are
Good
you?
afternoon, Russell and Jen. Jen,
Hey.
you have a beautiful smile. You should smile more often.
Well, thank you.
I cannot believe the amount of trolls that y'all had on today already. That's taking up 45 minutes of our time.
Well, you know, if as long as somebody is entertaining and allowing us to make points, then it's not a waste of time.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought, well, maybe with the first caller, the topic of bringing up the size of the Titanic compared to the Ark, make him understand the difference.
Let me make a point here, though. I think a lot of people tend to assume troll or fake like way more than is the actual rate of
Yeah.
fakers in the world, because there really are a whole lot of Christians who seriously believe this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, just with the sheer volume of you know, the statistics of how many people are religious, how many people disbelieve in evolution, you may not want to believe that there are people whose beliefs are that far gone, but they do.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So anyway, my questions, I had actually a couple of different questions. Recommended reading from both of y'all when it came to more of advanced or layman terminology and or young adult when it comes to somebody who is atheist, maybe a better understanding, because I listen to Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, and things and people like that, and you know they speak a little above my head sometimes, so I have to do a lot of researching when it comes to that. I also do a blog, KenComViews.com, and I talk about when I'm younger and things like that. But I tried to tie it on perspective as far as when it comes to my atheism when it started off younger and a life events that brought me up to where I am now. So I like to do a lot of research and a lot of reading. I was wondering if there's anything that you would recommend besides the freaking Bible.
I wouldn't recommend. I mean, the Bible would be very low on my list of things to recommend anyway.
Okay.
But what kind of things are you interested in learning about? Are you more interested in the sort of the philosophical underpinnings of atheism, or more of the science stuff that doesn't necessarily require atheism?
I'm more interested in the philosophical versus what most religions preach. Like, for example, I have 3 older sons, each of which are towards where they do not believe in a God or Jesus. Mm-hmm. My youngest son, with his mother, she takes him to church, and so him and I, we have lots of talks and things like that when it comes to the church that he goes to, and versus what they teach him in school also.
So when you say young adult, you're actually talking about some, like, you're going to give these to some young adults who are kind of new to this.
No, really. I'm looking at trying to challenge my youngest son, who's 13, into a debate, and not so much to destroy his mind, but to bring him from the indoctrination that church has put on him. Basically, looking at it as though, like, maybe a what do they call the you've got religion, and then you have your cults. There you go. Mm-hmm. And that he has been told these certain things, and so I try to combat those certain things with a little bit of knowledge. Like we talk about how the Earth is, and how people used to think it was flat, how fast light goes, and science and things like that. And then he even come back to one point after 30 or 45 minutes of talking of, you know, that he was worried that the rapture would come and that I would be left behind, and I told him that I would be fine and I would make it if it happened, which I don't believe is going to happen. But I was trying to reassure him, but he is at that point in age where he is really worried about his friends and family if this rapture thing is going to happen, which, like I said, I don't believe is going to happen. So I was looking at as far as things that I can combat or talk to him about to make him realize.
Yeah, I think we got your question.
Yeah, so I think the best thing you can do for your son right now is to promote healthy skepticism and teach him how to think. Okay, don't worry about what he thinks right now. Just teach him how to think, and then
that's what I do. I try to encourage that.
So, I mean, one of the books that we recommend a lot is The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan. and it's pretty good. It talks a lot about skepticism and critical thinking, and it illustrates it with claims that people have made and stories, and I think it would be pretty entertaining for him. So that might be something he would enjoy reading.
Okay, I heard Carl Sagan, but what was the name of the book again?
The Demon Haunted World.
Demon Haunted World.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And then,
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Jim, I noticed that you take a lot of notes that when you're doing the show, and I was wondering if you're writing a grocery list or maybe something else.
I just write notes as they occur to me.
notes?
Yeah.
Okay. And my final question that I had was dealing with the Constitution.
Well, wait.
When I talk to somebody,
Wait a minute. That's just one book. I also think Dan Barker has written a lot of really good accessible stuff.
Yeah.
Dan Barker.
Yeah, I think his latest book was, shoot.
Yeah, I don't have it.
I don't have that off the top of my head. I read Losing Faith in Faith, and that was pretty good, but I think maybe Godless was his most recent book. Yeah, I'm getting nods. So Dan Barker, Godless is maybe good for you. And I know that Dan Barker has written a lot of books aimed at kids, but probably kids younger than yours. But two books that he's written which are kind of intermediate level are called Maybe Right, Maybe Wrong, and Maybe Yes, Maybe No.
Okay. And it's not so much to give that to them to read, it's for me to read so that when I go to talk to them, I'm talking to them on a level that maybe he understands.
In that case, yeah, Godless is what I would recommend for you.
But in the case of your son, I would actually give him the book The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan.
I probably have to keep that here at my place. He probably wasn't going to take that home. His mom would probably burn it, most likely. But
yeah, because it talks about demon hauntings.
Yeah. Oh,
it's not real.
Oh my gosh.
One more. I just remembered Guy P. Harrison has some good books. 50 Reasons People Give for Believing in a God, I like.
Yeah.
50 Reasons for Believing in God.
50 Reasons People Give for Believing in a God.
Yeah.
Guy P. Harrison.
And my final question was dealing with the Constitution. We have you know all about the Constitution, I'm sure, but just to reframe, we have the freedom of religion. But however, within the Bill of Rights, it says the freedom of religion. But within the Constitution, it talks about a creator. Would you think our country would be better off if we went back?
It doesn't say that in the
Constitution.
Constitution.
The idea of creator out of there, since a lot of religious groups fall back on that as far as their...
The Constitution doesn't say anything about our creator.
It doesn't?
No,
the Declaration of Independence does.
Yeah.
Oh, the Declaration of Independence, okay. Okay, I mean, I need to go back and read that again. But I was looking at, even if it was with the Independence, do you think it would be a good idea to go back and take that out? I mean, that was something to declare a long time ago, but...
No, that's an historical document. I don't think we should change that. And the other thing that, I mean, when they talked about a creator, it wasn't the Christian God they were referring to.
Right, I understand that. And I understand that when they came to Thomas Jefferson talking about the separation of church and state, and I see that a lot now when it comes to politics. People coming in and wanting to run for office, and they all have to declare their faith, or they get asked that question: do you believe in God? And they all look at each other real quick, and then one says I do, then the next one says, oh, I do too, and oh yes, I believe whatever the Bible says, and it just kind of worries me the path that our country has taken. I know that in the previous shows you've talked about where the rise of non-believers is rising and believers is lowering, but it's like maybe I watch the news too much. I watch Fox News once in a while so I can have a good laugh.
Stop doing that.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself.
But it's good for a good laugh sometimes.
If you want to laugh, watch The Daily Show.
Yeah.
Look at both sides of the argument is basically how I try to define it. But I really appreciate you getting me on the show. I really appreciate the time that y'all put into this. And I was reading some of the stuff over here where everybody's typing and stuff, so nothing bad about me when it comes to being a troll, whatever, or I see trolls or ghosts or things like that. That's a good smile you have there, Jen. And y'all have a great day, okay? And enjoy y'all's dinner later on.
Hey,
Okay.
thanks.
Bye.
But speaking of dinner, that is at Threadgills on Riverside, and
right.
the show, we've got like just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to try to cram in Tatiana in Queens. And we've got an echo from you, Tatiana.
Oh my God. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
There is no God.
Hi.
Hey, can you hear us?
Yes.
Guys, I can't believe it actually got on air.
Yeah, we're such
So
big
happy.
fans of the show. Yeah.
We just wanted to thank you for being on air, and 99% of the time we agree with all what you say, and me and my husband, it's like our family's time spending.
It's our reality show. It's like, really? You guys, like, can't see the point? It's almost funny sometimes. Like, it's so common sense that it's just scary how people just don't use their brains.
Yeah.
Think about it. Just think about it for a second.
For myself, I wanted to say that I don't get to speak to many theist people during my days, and when I see this show and I get to see a whole different reality, and I was not raised in religious family, so it's a pretty much an entire new world for me. So I get to see and I get to hear a lot of stuff that I think is ridiculous, but people actually take it so seriously.
People are willing to die for it.
Yeah, and the point that we wanted to make is that even if we take it as a fact that there is no God and there is no meaning to life, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not really that scary, because when you don't have the supreme being controlling your life, maybe you yourself have the whole control over your life, and you can do and you can make up any meaning you want out of your life. Isn't that the power? Isn't that the supreme joy?
Well, and we get a fair amount of email that from people who say that realization was actually pretty liberating for them. They thought it would be scary, and it was in fact a liberating experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, we're out of time.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anyway.